than they can expect, appears before them and renovates the principles of devotional service, comprised of hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshiping, praying, cooperating, and surrendering unto Him. Adoption of all the above-mentioned items, or any one of them, can help a conditioned soul get out of the tangle of nescience and thus become liberated from all material sufferings created by the living being illusioned by the external energy. This particular type of mercy is bestowed upon the living being by the Lord in the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Om Jnata Mirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurin Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Guru and Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakhan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Chana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the verse once more. And yet others say that you appear to rejuvenate the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshiping, and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation. So we're continuing these beautiful prayers by Queen Kunti. The situation is that after being exiled for 12 years and spending 1 year incognito, the Pandavas and the Kauravas gathered all their forces on this huge battlefield of Kurukshetra, and there was a massive fight in which millions of people were killed. Finally, the Pandavas have come out victorious, and Krishna, who has been with them during this fratricidal war, is about to leave Hastinapur, where the Pandavas are situated, and return to his place of Dwarka, his city of Dwarka. He's on his chariot when he's approached by Uttara, because a Brahmastra was released to finish the child within her womb. Krishna responds to her prayers and protects the child, who was born as Maharaj Parikshit later on. So again, he's about to leave when he's approached by Queen Kunti. And she offers these beautiful, moving prayers. There are 26 prayers at all. This one that we're reading today is the 19th of 26 prayers. And in these prayers, she shows that she is a fully realized person. She understands Krishna. She begins by saying how he's invisible. Yet, although he's invisible, he is within everything and outside of everything. But just like a player who is expertly costumed and is an expert actor, we cannot see him. He is invisible to us. We may have an occasion where somebody we know very closely, a friend or relative, plays on a stage, but because they're acting so well and the costume and the makeup is so good, we don't recognize that person, even though that person is intimate with us. So this is what Kunti Devi says. Krishna is all around us all the time, but we don't have the eyes to see him. We are blind to his presence. And yet she offers, knowing who he is very well, she offers her heartfelt obeisances to him. She says how he is garlanded with lotuses, his navel is shaped like a lotus, his feet are compared to lotuses, his hands also compared to lotuses. In this way, she offers her respectful obeisances to him. She recounts how he protected her and her sons time and time again, and protected his mother, Devaki, also. And she gives specifics. At one point, one of her sons was offered poison. Krishna protected him. They were attacked by cannibals. Krishna protected them. They were put in a house of lac. Krishna protected them. They were faced with this ocean of enemies on the battlefield, and Krishna was there again to protect them. Finally, Asvatthama released this Brahmastra to finish the descendants, Maharaj Parikshit, and again, Krishna was there to protect the child in the womb. So in this way, she remembers him very feelingly, and she knows very well who he is, that he is the controller, he is eternal time, he is the creator of the material and spiritual worlds. There is no truth above him. She expresses all these things in these beautiful prayers. And then she says how it is bewildering that he works and yet he is inactive. He takes birth and yet he's unborn. These things are inconceivable to us. And he also appears amongst all the different species of life. And yet, although he is so great, he appears as a small child. And his foster mother, Yasoda, takes a rope to bind him when he's naughty. And he runs in fear of her. And yet fear personified is afraid of him. Who can understand these beautiful attributes of our Lord? Then starting in verse 32, Queen Kunti explores the cause of Krishna's appearance in this world. And there are many different apparent reasons for his appearance. In 32, she says, "Some say that you, the unborn, are born for the glorification of pious kings. Others say that you are born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees." So there are two possible reasons for Krishna's appearance. Still others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you've taken your birth as their son. So there's another possible cause for Krishna's appearance. Still others say, and we're in text 34, that the world being overburdened like a boat at sea is much aggrieved, and that Brahma, your son, prayed for you, and therefore you came to respond to the prayers of Brahma. And now in this verse, she's saying still others say that you appeared to rejuvenate the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshiping, and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation. So Srila Prabhupada was very fond of these prayers of Queen Kunti. He spoke of them in 1973, in the spring of 1973 in Los Angeles. And about a year later, he spoke of them again in Mayapur. And this book, The Teachings of Queen Kunti, was prepared from the teachings Prabhupada gave about her prayers when he was in Los Angeles. He gave a lecture on this particular verse on April 27th, 1973, in the Los Angeles Temple. And the next day, April 28th, on a morning walk, Prabhupada was recalling this very verse. And I wanted to read what he said on that walk, because it is so memorable and I hope inspiring. So this is exactly what he said on this morning walk, the day after he spoke about this verse, text 35. Prabhupada says, Bhagavat says, Bhaveshmin klishyamananam avidya kama karma bhi. Avidya. Avidya means ass, no intelligence. He does not know what is life, what is the course of life, how things are going on. He does not know. The more he is increasing his unnecessary desires, he's making himself entangled. That he does not know. He has to take freedom from the repetition of birth and death, but he's becoming more and more entangled. Avidya kama karma bhi. Avidya means ignorance. Kama means desire. So out of ignorance he has material desires, and karma bhi. Therefore he is suffering from these desires. This is Bhagavatam. In one line, the whole material existence is explained. This is literature. In one line, there is thousands of years of research work in one line, Bhaveshmin. Now this Bhaveshmin, you make research. Ashmin, in this world, taking birth. So you have to learn so many things on these two words. How the living entities are taking birth in this world, where from he's coming, where he's going, what is his business. So many things in these two words. Bhaveshmin. Klishamananam. Struggle for existence. Why? Why are we struggling for existence? Avidya, ignorance. What is that avidya? Karma, kama, karma bhi. And Brahmananda is there, he says desire. Prabhupada, activities of sense gratification. He's becoming entangled. In Bhagavatam, in one word, everything finished. Klishamananam. You'll have to work hard, avidya, kama, karma bhi, by your creating so many desires. By this process, you'll simply have to work hard, that's all, because it is ignorance. You do not know what is the goal of life. So kama, karma bhi. You desire something. Now we shall do like this. That means you create another problem, and you have to work very hard. That's all. Then he says, what is the next line of that verse? Anyone remembers? He's asking his disciples who are with him. Swarup Damodar, yesterday's verse? Prabhupada, yes. The research work is kama, karma bhi. This in the laboratory research work, that is karma, kama, karma bhi. They're planning something. That is kama, karma. He does not take the planning of Krishna. He makes his own plan. That is kama, karma. Kamaistastar rita jnana. That's a verse from Bhagavad Gita. In another place it is said, when one is engaged in the matter of these unnecessary desires, he becomes lost of all intelligence. It is just like the child's crying. The child is crying, asking the mother, give me that moon. The mother gives a mirror. Here is the moon, my dear. He takes the mirror, he sees the moon. Oh yes, he has got the moon. So this is compared to the materialists. They want happiness. They want unlimited happiness. And they have this false temporary happiness. And they think, oh yes, now I'm successful. Now I have what I want. It's like the child holding the mirror. He wants the moon. He simply has a reflection of the moon. We are ignorant. Avidya, kama, karma bhi. We are trying to manufacture so many things to satisfy our thirst of joyfulness, but we are being baffled because it is illusion. Therefore, real intelligence is, where is the reality? Where is the real water? That is intelligence. Bhagavata gives that. Vastu, vastu, vedyam, astra. That's from the first chapter of the Bhagavatam. Real reality you'll find here in Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada made this verse extremely memorable in this way. If we simply remember this first line, Bhaveshmin Klishamananam Avidya Kama Karmabhi. In the transliteration it's written as two lines, but in the original Devanagari, that's all one line. And that gives us an indication of what's going on in this material world. Bhave, in this material world, Klishamananam, there is so much suffering. Why? Avidya, nescience, ignorance. And why is there nescience and ignorance? Because people think that by executing their fruitive work, karma bhi, they will fulfill their desires, their kama. And this is fallacious. Whatever they get as a result of fulfilling their material activities, whether it appears good or appears bad, it's temporary and it's limited. We want unlimited happiness. We want happiness that lasts. And this happiness in this world is neither lasting nor complete, and therefore people are frustrated and unhappy. And we can see that all around us every day. And in this same verse, Queen Kunti is offering the solution, that Krishna comes to rejuvenate devotional service, hearing, remembering, worshiping, and so on. And by doing these activities, these very simple activities, we can revive our spiritual consciousness. We can begin to understand who we are and who we're meant to be serving. And in that way, experience happiness that is beyond the realm of this material world, a lasting happiness that is unknown to materialists. So it's a very profound verse. I could read a little bit from Prabhupada's lecture that he gave in Los Angeles at this time. He says here, when he's talking about the part of the verse where Krishna's saying, or Queen Kunti is saying, that Krishna comes to rejuvenate hearing, chanting, and remembering, Prabhupada says, Christians and Muslims are also Vaishnavas, because they offer prayers to the Lord. "O God," they say, "give us our daily bread." Those who offer this prayer may not know very much and may be at a lower stage, but it is a beginning, because they have appreciated and approached God. Going to a church or mosque is also pious. Prabhupada is so broad and encompassing in his presentation of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, those who begin in this way will one day become pure Vaishnavas. But the atheistic propaganda that one should not go to a church, temple, or mosque is very dangerous to human society. One may not be very advanced, but one should try at least to do something to understand God. A child is sent to school, and although he may simply learn A, B, C, D, if he is interested, he may one day become a very good scholar. Similarly, one day a pious man may become a pure devotee. Why should one give up religion altogether, become completely secular, and simply open a factory in which to manufacture nuts and bolts and work very hard and drink and eat meat? What kind of civilization is this? It is because of this so-called civilization that people are suffering. So this is a very profound verse. It can give us cause for meditation for a lifetime, and we can explore its nuances and meanings repeatedly. Perhaps there's some discussion on these points, or should we go on and discuss other aspects? If you have any thoughts or reflections on this profound verse. Vaishmin Klishyamananam. Yeah, that's a very important point, that unfortunately the human condition nature is that we can become complacent. And even though we've been given such an extraordinary gift as Krishna consciousness, if we're not careful, we can take it for granted. And therefore this rejuvenation is very important. Prabhupada also, he instructed us, or he desired that we, all his disciples, periodically go to the pilgrimage places in India, Vrindavan and Mayapur, for this purpose of rejuvenating themselves in devotional service, hearing, chanting, and remembering, and then returning to their places with this extra energy and extra awakenedness, understanding their fortunate position and trying to give that to the people where they reside. So this idea of rejuvenation is very important and should not be in any way minimized or overlooked, definitely. Complacency and taking things for granted is a great enemy for all of us on the spiritual path, because every day we have the opportunity to hear and chant. And if we don't understand the value of this, we can become neglectful. And that is a tremendous loss for us. Yes, please.
So it says that great struggling for existence because of ignorance and our desires. So does that mean that in Krishna consciousness there is less struggle? And if so, then why does the Pandavas struggle so much?
Yeah, that question comes up in the next chapter, actually, the passing away of grandfather Bhishma. And at this time, Yudhisthira Maharaj is overwhelmed that so much bloodshed has been done on his account. It appears that millions of people died just so he could be emperor. And he's feeling that suffering. And even Krishna himself does not appease Yudhisthira Maharaj, so they go to grandfather Bhishma. And grandfather Bhishma looks at the Pandavas and recalls their history and all their suffering, as you mentioned. And he says, this is beyond comprehension. I only take it as the effect of time. And so, time is Krishna. Krishna had a lesson he wanted to teach, so he arranged this. So the Pandavas appeared to be in so much tribulation, so much difficulty, time and time again. Krishna had important things he wanted to teach us, and he used the Pandavas to do that. As far as devotees in general suffering, that it may appear that devotees are suffering externally, but if a devotee is focused on Krishna, that suffering will be minimized. That there's also, I don't know if you've heard of Avanti Brahmana. It's described in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. This Avanti Brahmana was a miserly, very miserly person, so miserly he wouldn't provide properly not only for his employees, but also even for his family. And so at one point, he became renounced, and he actually became a sincere devotee of Krishna. He became the Avanti Brahmana. But people knew his history. And so these people who knew his history as a miserly person caused him so much apparent suffering. They would throw things at him. They would pass urine on his food. They would make fun of him. He was tormented by these people. And yet he offers beautiful prayers, and he says, what is the cause of my suffering? Is it my karma? And he says, is it the demigods? Is it material nature? No, actually it's my own mind only that is causing this suffering. That if we can change our mentality, we won't suffer. So this is the process of devotional service, to change the mentality, to see that whatever is happening is coming ultimately from Krishna, and to learn from that, to take lessons from that. And then we have this extraordinary prayer that Queen Kunti says, even though she relates all these sufferings of herself and her sons, she says, let these calamities come again and again, because when these calamities come, we see you. And she's afraid that when Krishna leaves, he goes back to Dwarka, and he's no longer visible, then she will actually experience suffering, because she will be separated from him. That is the actual suffering. But these apparent calamities come, and the Pandavas and Queen Kunti constantly turn to Krishna, appealing to him for his protection, and in that way they're in full remembrance of him, and they feel his presence and do not experience the pangs that are expressed in this verse. The material pangs that make everyone in this material world suffer. So it's really a question of ourselves elevating our consciousness. It's an elevated consciousness, but it is possible to do. Well, certainly prayer is there. And also I think the principle of dovetailing is very important, which doesn't focus so much on the intelligence, but rather whatever body we're in, we have certain propensities, certain things we like to do. And if we can do those things for Krishna, that will be very absorbing for us. And so we'll have this higher taste, param drustva nivartate, that we won't be so pulled by the lower allurements that may come. I think that's very important. Devotees who are not able to engage their propensities in Krishna consciousness in some way are become more vulnerable to those lower urges, those lower pulls. But Krishna consciousness is so broad. Prabhupada just said that even the Muslims and the Christians are Vaishnavas. It's a very broad net that he casts. So in that way, even if one is earning money, you can think, I am earning this money so that I can come and benefit the Vaishnavas, give it to the temple, serve the deities better. So whatever one is doing, one can find the application in Krishna consciousness. And there are a few exceptions, but by and large. And in that way, have this higher taste. So these lower things are less and less and less attractive and appealing to us. Any other points anyone would like to bring up? Yes, that's a very good question. That can easily happen, that we think, we convince ourselves, as you're saying, that what I think is right is right. So that means that we really must apply ourselves, not only to our japa, which is very important, also to the scrutinizing study of Prabhupada's presentation, so that we can learn to discern what is actually Krishna's desire from what is my desire, if and when they differentiate. And even then we may become confused, and then fortunately we have God brothers and God sisters, spiritual masters present who may be able to help us. So that is a great, great challenge in our devotional path. What is to be done and what is not to be done. What would you say to answer that question? Yeah, in the history of ISKCON we have a number of years where even our leaders were quite diverted by their own desires, and it became a very chaotic and depressing situation. So it's a point of great caution. That is always a danger. Maya is always there, waiting, because we want prestige, we want power, these material things. And if we want them separate from Krishna, then he will give us prestige and power, and that prestige and power will take us away from him. And we saw that happen in our history, disastrously. So much faith was lost. So it's something to learn from, for sure. Be very cautious ourselves, and grateful for the path we've been given. Shall we stop there? Is that all right? Thank you very much for your attention. All glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.